Every aspect of life, everything about being alive is anti-life in some way. It seems like everything that we have to contend with in life is trying to kill you. And top of that list, I would say, is other people. Everybody and everything seems to want to deplete you of your life in some way. There are, of course, things that nourish you, food, obviously, and water, but in the old days when you had to grow your own food and raise your own cattle, all of that took a lot of energy and a lot of time, and it depleted your energy like crazy, because you would have to obviously spend time, you would have to invest time raising the cattle, and you would lose a lot of them a lot of the time, either to predators or themselves to starvation. And you would have to harvest vegetables and fruits, depending on where in the world you lived and what you were able to grow in your locale. And all of this took tremendous physical energy. Hard work would do you in eventually. Another example is the pleasurable things in life. In the old days, it would have been home-brewed beer or something like that, but alcohol is not good for you. And the simple pleasures in life also want to take you out. It seems like everything that is enjoyable in some way wants to take you out. Everything that, and the things that we have today, all the enjoyable things, all the things that I enjoy, are all things that are immensely bad for your health. I really enjoy Monster energy drinks. I drink too many of those. And I enjoy fast food and unhealthy food. It's all a lot of it is designed to be bad for you, I think, because they're always talking about population problems and stuff. So that's why a lot of the stuff that is bad for you is still readily available, despite the known risks and the known terrible outcomes of consuming these things too often. And I suppose that circles back to what I said before about the top of the list of things that want to annihilate you is other people. They're definitely the number one killer of people is people. And of course, everybody has their vices. Some people, they drink too much. Other people, they smoke too much. And there's harder stuff which I won't go into because this is YouTube after all, and there's the risk of videos being taken down or just being shadow banned or whatever. YouTube is an extremely censorious platform, so I'm going to be careful and not go too much further into that side of things, but we all know what I'm talking about there. But all these things, they feel great. That's why people do them, and they're addictive, but they slowly destroy you. Like most things in life. Most things. Something like, some people like going for drives in their car. They enjoy driving. Kind of a dangerous thing to do, really, when you weigh up the risks. Others enjoy socialising. They like going to pubs and clubs or bars or what have you. But fights break out in those places semi-regularly. It's not unheard of for people to pass away through injuries they've sustained through fights. Maybe not so much these days because people are a lot softer than they used to be, but back in the day, grievous injuries would result from fights. If you look at the Wild West and places like that, and in this country in the early 20th century, it's crazy how many people would end up being unalived just through, they go for a night out and that's it. It's the last night of their lives. It's crazy. And given all of these dangers and all of this, all of the anti-life elements that we must deal with in our lives, we all still cling to life. Most of us do. Some, take an early exit. But the majority of people, they stick with it. They, despite the fact that it is the most painful thing the most dangerous and unpleasant of things is life. It's the only thing we have, and that feels like some kind of cosmic joke on our part. You will struggle, and you will drain yourself, and you will work your fingers to the bone, and at the end of it, the destination is always the same. It's just a matter of when you get there and how you get there. And I'm tired of it, I'm sick of the grind. I'm sick of having to work. I've said before in a few of my videos that I haven't worked for a little while because I'm self-employed, and my self-employed venture, it generates passive income for me, and I haven't lifted a finger in probably 2 months, getting on for 3 months now, because I just cannot stand the thought of more work, of having to sit in front of my computer and fiddle about with poxy editing software, and it's just the last thing on earth that I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. And regret is beginning to play a big part in my life. I regret some of the choices I've made. A few years ago, before I set up my other YouTube channel, which makes me, enough money to pay the bills and stuff, all I wanted was to be my own boss. I wanted to get away from the daily grind of having to show up on time to a job and having to be there at a certain time and not being able to leave until a certain time, having to, wear what I was told to wear, and having all of my actions dictated to me by some arsehole boss that was breathing down the back of my neck all the time. I hated it. I wanted to escape from it. And after a lot of hard work and a lot of stress and strain, I managed to get it done. I managed to get the YouTube channel to a point where I could live on that as my sole income. And I made it happen. And I've been doing that for about 4 years now. And I have to say, I'm starting to wonder if that was the right thing to do. Because I always wanted to get away from work. I didn't want to work. But it was a different kind of... it seemed like a choice back then. Like, I wanted to get away from this kind of work and do this sort of work instead. But now, I just feel like I'm done with work. Completely done with it. And I'm only 36 years old. And there are people who they work their entire lives and they live long lives, like a normal length life. Some people live into their 80s and they will retire at their, the standard state retirement age. But then after that, they'll get a part-time job as something to do. It's just, they're perfectly happy to work. And I just cannot stand the idea of more work. And I'm only 36 years old. So what the hell do I do? What is the answer to that? Well, I've given it some thought, and funnily enough, back to life being a bit of a joke, it seems like the solution to my not wanting to work is to work. I need to get myself a job or something. I don't know doing what. There's not much I can do. I don't have any skills or any real training. I've had delivery driver work. I've done that in the past. I've done care work, but I don't want to go back to that because that was some of the worst people I've ever met have been care workers, which my young, naive self was very surprised by. But now I know a few things about people and the kinds of people that gravitate towards jobs that entail looking after vulnerable people and having them in your charge. Police officers are that kind of people on the whole. Care workers are as well. Surgeons are another one. A lot of psychopaths become surgeons, which is a scary thought. But I guess, they're in a way they're the ideal people to have doing that because they're not going to crack under pressure. They're going to see working on a person's insides the same way a mechanic would see working on a car. They're not going to have any concern for causing any pain or harm or distress. But anyway, I digress. I need to find a job of some sort, and it's probably going to be some basic-ass cleaning job or, I don't know, maybe in like retail or something. I have some retail experience. I don't want to do care work again. I guess in a pinch, I could probably do some driving work. I could remain self-employed and maybe work as a courier for Evri or something like that. Evri is a courier company in this country that's quite well known for delivering beaten up parcels and packages. So at least I know their standards aren't too high and I shouldn't have any trouble getting work with them. But that may be the best option for me, is to start with that because, I mean, obviously there are some downsides to that. There'd be a lot more wear and tear on my car than what I have now, and if my car goes, that'll be it, because I don't make enough money to afford a new car. Cars are insanely expensive now, which is not something you would think you'd hear someone who's self-employed and his own boss would say. Oh, I actually don't have much money and I can't afford a car. I've had freedom. I have had a lot of freedom. I will concede that, because I've been able to work whenever I want, come and go whenever I want. I've been able to not work for a couple of months, as I have done recently, if I wanted to, and there's not anybody phoning me every single day saying, where are you, are you coming back today, blah, blah, blah. So I've had that, but I don't know, is the freedom worth it? It seemed like it would be at the start, but having lived it for a while now, a few years, I'm wondering if it is. So I'm thinking I may just have to find something part-time to occupy my time, give me some regular income, and give me a bit of structure in my life, because I do just float through life now. I've said before, I feel like some sort of ghost that's just... I mean, the only reason I leave the house is, to go to the supermarket or to drive my fiancée to her job, because she works in a shop. So I do leave to do that, but I've shunned all socialisation. I don't have any friends. I never wanted friends before, and I don't particularly want friends now. I don't need them. I'm not a social person in any way, in the slightest. I like the idea of it, but in practice, I do not enjoy it at all. It's the worst thing about being at work, is having to talk to people and make conversation with them. Like when you're in a normal job, I mean. But it's a paradox, I have control of my life because I decide everything about my life now. However, it also feels like I don't have any control at all, because there's nothing to control. I don't have anything to focus on. I don't have anything to really plan around except for my fiance's shifts at work. But I'm not planning my own time at all. I'm literally just floating through it. I play video games, a lot of the time. I do go and see my brother a lot, which is cool. I see him quite regularly, and he lives nearby now, so I'll definitely go and see him again soon. And I don't see my parents as much these days because we live a couple hours apart from each other. It's, fuel is expensive. That's the only reason I don't go and see them more often. And I do enjoy my solitude, but I'm wondering if, like so many things that I like, it's actually bad for me. Like I've said before, my vices tend to be fast food and sweet foods and stuff like that. I really enjoy them, but they're bad for me. Is it the same with solitude? I enjoy being on my own. I like being alone, but is it bad for me? Is it detrimental to my mental health? And I think I'm beginning to realise more and more with each passing day that yes, it is in fact detrimental, because we're a social species. And even those of us who want to live like hermits, we do need some link, don't we, to civilization. Back in the day, you'd have the hermit who lived in a cave on the side of a mountain. He would choose to live all by himself, but he would still go down into the little market square or what have you and purchase his supplies. He'd go to the guy who makes bread and so forth, He would do that. He would need blankets and stuff. So he would go down and he would probably still maintain some kind of relationship with people, even if he chose to live by himself in a cave, which is kind of on the modern version of that, I think. Only socialization is it's difficult, especially these days. I don't know. You know what? I say that just feels like a cope. I think that's a copium of modern people. Like, oh, socialize. You can't socialize these days. It's hard to establish relationships and stuff. And I don't think it is. I think, and this isn't original. I'm not making any original points here. I'm just speaking my mind. But the internet has made people think that socializing is much harder than it actually is. You can just go into a shop and have a brief chat with somebody who works there. You can strike up a little conversation with somebody if you're, in the queue waiting for something. It is still possible, I think, but people are just scared to do it these days. That's the simple fact, is people are just scared to do it. And I myself am scared to do it too. I'm not criticising other people for this. I'm just pointing it out because I myself am absolutely a product of my time as well. This is something that a lot of us are kind of feeling and dealing with, but it's just a made-up problem in our heads, most likely. But yeah, so I do want to figure out how to get out there again and maybe just have a job, just so I'm speaking to different people and not completely losing my social skills. And that's kind of what the function of this channel is as well, I think. It allows me to just talk and talk and talk, say whatever I want, and hopefully have some interesting discussions with people in the comments. And I have so far. That's been really nice. So I look forward to any comments on this video that I might get. It'd be really cool to hear from some of you, see what some of you guys are dealing with in your lives and how easy you find it to socialise and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have to wonder if the decisions that I've made that have led me up to this point were the right decisions. They seemed like the right decisions at the time, but now, not so sure. Anyway, that's it for this one. I appreciate you watching and making it to the end. If you did, just leave a comment if you want to and like the video and stuff, all that YouTube jazz. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.